You are now listening to the Lone Wolf
the Lone Wolf podcast.
Me and my friends have a friend called Michael. Me and my friends have a message for you, Michael. Me and my friends. Well, come on, Michael, push a little harder, try a little more, get your feet on the floor. Come on, Michael, you can make it if you want to. It's just not the same without you.
Alrighty, welcome back after what seems like 2 or 3 months. Actually, let me look at my phone and see when the last time I did a podcast. Give me 1 second. Searching. Lone Wolf Podcast, there we are. Go to available episodes. March 14th, holy cow. So March, April, May, almost, probably by the time this comes out, it'll have been 3 months. Holy crap. I don't think I fell out of love with podcasting. I don't know. I think it was just a lack of, I was starting to lose my momentum on booking guests. I should have just been more adamant about that. And then just things in life, the deeper questions started to take prominence in my head. And I don't know. I guess an assortment of things happened. However, I do plan on having some guests booked. Colton Bonnell, my gay conservative Catholic friend, I do plan on having him back on. I plan on having a fellow named Aaron Park. He's the founder and creator and owner and operator and whatever else title you want to throw in there of Arch Apparel. It's a clothing brand based in St. Louis. It's got a really interesting story. He came over here from Melbourne, Australia, and somehow settled in St. Louis and then made a St. Louis brand. But that'll be something to look forward to. And I got some other guests, I'm sure, probably 3 or 4 more in mind, but nothing to be confirmed yet. But, man, it feels good to be back. Like 1 month can turn into 3 or a week can turn into a month. It's crazy. It feels like I haven't been back doing this in forever, but it feels good to be back. I feel justified and I don't know if that's the right way to to phrase this. Even if I don't get like a big audience on podcasts like these, it doesn't get many downloads or listens, which I certainly wish I could have more of. I feel justified in doing them. It gives me something to do. It gives me a sense of purpose. So that feels good to be back doing this on top of my photography. And I need to pick my filmmaking back up, my videography, just all my other creative pursuits. I need to be more disciplined with those and pick those back up, especially while it's beautiful. It's been beautiful lately after all this stupid flooding Alton's been having. And I cut out, caffeine. I've been focusing on sleeping more. I could be eating a lot healthier, but I just feel way better. So, there's really no reason why I can't, just become super disciplined and work my butt off because I'm treating my body better. Therefore, I should have more energy to do those things. But, yeah, that's my little intro to this podcast. But let me just say something, man. It felt amazing last night. Was it last night? Yeah, it was last night to watch the St. Louis Blues win their first Stanley Cup, especially considering it's against Boston, which let me give you a little history of St. Louis versus Boston. We are the only 2 cities to face each other in the MLB, in the NFL, in the NBA, and in the NHL. Not a lot of people know about this, but I'm sure Atlanta Hawks fans may know. The Hawks actually used to be in St. Louis, and I really actually wish they would have stayed in St. Louis, or I really hope that St. Louis creates a new basketball team, because I feel like it's honest to God such an exciting sport to watch, and I've only seen high school games. I can only imagine how much more amplified that is when you're at a professional basketball game where you see people just, cream of the crop, just specimens of athleticism going up and down the court. It's fast paced, and I would say other than baseball, something I grew up playing. That's probably my second favorite sport to watch. I tell you what, watching the Stanley Cup final, I need to start watching hockey more, or maybe just watching like the conference games where the teams actually try. Because holy crap, dude, that's intense. Those guys aren't playing. And another thing about the Boston thing. Oh yeah. So not only have they faced us in all those, I don't know about the NBA part, but they've beat us in all those sports besides the hockey. They beat us once with the Rams when the Patriots kicked that field goal and beat the Rams back in like 2002 or 2003, and then they beat us twice in the World Series, which I think there was no way in hell the Cardinals are going to win that anyways. I mean, Boston, they just turn into freaks, absolute freaks whenever the postseason comes around. It's like it must be something in the Boston water. But man, it feels good to see the Blues win, especially because I plan on taking a trip out to Boston in July. I'm a huge baseball fan, and I've been to Wrigley, and I want to go to Fenway. Wrigley and Fenway are really the only two like historical ballparks left, like that were made in the early 20th century, and that still have that old feel. And unfortunately, I've heard from people they got small seating. That's one of the unfortunate things, because they're made for people in the early 1900s who were starving or who weren't eating all this processed shit and weren't like 400, 500 pounds. So that should be fun. But yeah, man, I'm really excited to go see that. I bought a ticket to New York Yankees Red Sox game at Fenway, and as a Cardinals fan, I could really care less about who wins. I'm just excited to be there and excited to see the animosity. Hopefully I see a fight or two, see some beer get thrown on some people, just witness how incredibly asshole-ish, I know that's not a word, East Coast fans are. And I'm debating whether or not I should wear any blue stuff, because I don't know if I want to get stabbed or shot. I don't know if they take their hockey that seriously out there, but they are East Coast fans, so I probably ought to not. I'd probably just wear St. Louis stuff, maybe Cardinal stuff. They don't really have any bitterness towards the Cardinals because they've whooped our ass twice. So maybe I'll just do that, and if someone asks if I'm a Blues fan, then I'll very carefully say yes. And just assess them before I do that, make sure they don't have a shank or a gun that can kill me with. But who knows? Massachusetts does have legal weed, so maybe they'll be too stoned, or maybe the weed just makes them a little more peaceful that day, and I won't have to endure an ass whooping, or I may have to whoop their ass. But I'd rather just not. I'd rather just avoid that situation altogether. Yeah, man, that feels good. And you know what? To be honest with you, the NHL champion or the Stanley Cup, what the Blues pulled off there is incredible. It reminds me of the Cardinals in 2011. I think it's just it's the spirit of St. Louis. It's the spirit of St. Louis sports. When the season looking bleak, and by the way, to give you some context here, the Blues went from last place, I believe, in the whole NHL, maybe, or maybe in the Western Conference, to coming back from that and making it into the Stanley Cup Finals, and then finally make it to the Stanley Cup Final and beating probably one of the best hockey teams I could in my recent memory, and in one of the best, most competitive sports towns. I mean, my God, the Celtics, which, by the way, I really wish it wouldn't pronounce Celtics because it's spelled the way Celtics, like the I think it's Irish, the ancient Irish thing. But anyways, that's just a matter of semantics. But yeah, the Celtics have won 20-something NBA titles. The Red Sox have won a handful of World Series. Fucking Bruins have won 5 or 6. They don't need another one. But yeah, we came from pretty much people probably giving up, saying the Blues don't have a chance. There's next year, to coming back and just playing their asses off and beating the Bruins in 7 games in the Stanley Cup final. And it was our first one. And I think the Blues came into the league like 52 years ago. So it's our first one in 52 years. And we hadn't even been back to the final in 49 years. And, man, it just made me proud. Even though I'm from Alton, I'm from Illinois, we're like 35, 40 minutes away from St. Louis. So we're pretty much, we're in the St. Louis metro area. You know, by the proximity to St. Louis, I'm a fan. And being in Illinois, you get some shit from people who are Chicago fans, which, I mean, Chicago's a great city. I absolutely love it. I would put it up against any city in the summer, but it's like if you get an early train flight, if you get an early train right up there, it's like 4 hours and 15 minutes. It's much more reasonable just to drive, 30 minutes, 35 minutes southwest to go see St. Louis sports than Chicago sports. But yeah, I didn't really have an approach to this podcast. I just wanted to kind of apologize and give a brief explanation of why I haven't done a podcast episode in so long. I want to say I'm so proud of the Blues. I'm so proud of the town for being behind that team. I've never been to LA. I may go to San Francisco. Here soon. If I can't go to Glacier National Park in July, that was the original plan. However, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a ride or get people to go with me. Because the other people I'm going to go with, the car's already full. I have been in New York City, so I've experienced the coastal city. With that being said, just with the media and with a lot of coastal elitist people, they look down on the Midwest and Middle America. They think it has no culture. They just talk crap on it. It's not as great as their city. Which, I mean, that's all subjective in my opinion. That depends on what you mean by great, like what you're looking for to be great in a city. But I don't know, man. I think I had a good point there, but I guess my point is that it's good to see a city that probably gets talked crap on a lot, win like that. And, yeah, not only just great sports city, but dude, there's a lot of cool stuff happening with St. Louis right now, and they've got the amazing Forest Park. They got all kinds of cool, beautiful parks that you can go to. I mean, a lot of stuff in Forest Park's free, and they just got a lot of cool amenities. Yeah, a lot of cool projects are coming there, and not only that, but if you go by Yelp reviews, they're like it's the second best food city behind San Francisco. Speaking of San Francisco is number 1. I don't know. I don't think that's something to be ignored. I think that's quite incredible. Sorry, I'm just watching these 2 carpenter bees swarm above my head. Once again, I'm doing a podcast from the garage. Unfortunately, because it's wood and it's pretty warm, it's like breeding grounds for wasps and bees. It's not too bad, but it's enough to make me slightly uncomfortable. Especially those big old fat bees. From what I've heard, they're not really aggressive. And I don't know. Someone told me they don't sting. I don't know if I believe that, but I just don't like these big fat buzzing things around me. But yeah. To be honest with you, I didn't have much of an outline to this podcast. I just kind of wanted to do it just to get back in the swing of doing things. But let's go freaking Blues. I wish I was off for the parade so I could take my Sony A7R II awesome camera there and take some pictures and, put that up on Instagram. Maybe get a repost, gain some new followers, but whatever, it is what it is. Hopefully I can make it safe to Boston in July. And if I can't go to Glacier, hopefully I'll get to go to San Francisco. It's a absolutely beautiful city for photography, but it's being turned into it's not being turned into a shithole because of stupid policies by politicians and a fake housing crisis, which the reason why they're doing that is because they're wanting to push out any normal people and only cater to the elite of the world. And it's very unfortunate because it's driving out a lot of natives, but I won't get too far into that. Yeah, to be honest with you, I think I'm just rambling at this point. I don't know if I have much more to say, but it feels good to be back. Let's go Blues. Yeah, and thank you for listening to this podcast. Bye.